r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. So what is your family's deepest, darkest secret? My father was the most caring man. He loved his family. One day, when I was 6 years old, I came home with bleeding cuts on my legs from the babysitter's beating. With no warning, he jumps in his car headed to the babysitter's house. My mom had no car, so me and her catch a bus to the babysitter's house. By the time we got there, the police were there, the husband was in an ambulance, and some of the living room furniture was thrown out the window. My father had kicked in the front door and beat up the husband. He couldn't get to the wife because she locked herself in a room, so he started throwing furniture out the window. If he would have got to her, he would have killed her. Never knew my father could get so angry. He only spent 2 nights in jail because all the police understood. The mother was charged with child abuse. I still have the scars. My DNA was connected to cold case. I had no connection to the crime, a close relative did. My father abused me, and then after he abused my sister, and she outed him, he took his own life. My paternal grandfather had a girlfriend, on the side, the entire time I knew him. When my grandmother died, he married her and completely disregarded us until right before he died. It was a life-changing lesson on how people you truly think you know, have secrets. My great-great-grandmother and her sister killed their neighbor in 1916 because he assaulted my great-grandmother. The man was known around town as a predator and there was never an investigation. The sheriff's deputies just took his body away and the town buried it in an unmarked grave. We have many. One that can't be held against us at this point. I was a very sick baby. My dad worked 2 full-time jobs to get 2 separate insurance policies. Spent 22.5 months in a children's hospital type sick. So when they released me, the doctor discharging told my parents he highly recommended a heart and respiratory monitor. Then only my pediatrician could prescribe it or insurance wouldn't pay. We were super poor and had no way to finance it alone. So when we went to see my pediatrician, he advised against it, stating that it wasn't necessary. Now by this point the doctor that had been caring for me in the hospital had been calling daily to check on me. She was adamant it was needed. My dad, until we got one, had been laying awake at night with me on his chest to monitor my breathing, more than once having to do a sternum rub to restart my breathing. So dad goes back to visit the doctor with just me. Now the story goes he asked the nurse to step out and immediately slams the door and locks it. Picks this doctor up by the throat and as calm and cold as could be said, "My son needs this. You're the only thing stopping that. If he dies because he didn't have it, I will come back here and make you suffer. Then my wife will sue your family into the ground and make them suffer." We left with a prescription and a new doctor. Side note, yes, this was extreme behavior. But I'm glad. That machine saved my life no less than a dozen times. My uncle killed my 2-year-old cousin because he was mad at my granddad. He just grabbed him by his ankles and bashed his head on the ground. Edit. Since a lot of people asked, I asked my mom, and apparently his mom went and talked to the prosecutor or judge and kept him out of jail somehow. My great-great-grandfather was an asshole. One day he got into a fight with his wife and took a shotgun. Shot his wife and first daughter in the head before doing the same to himself. His second daughter, my great-grandmother, watched the whole thing happen. She was a wonderful woman, but I can't imagine what it'd be like to watch that happen. How old was she when it happened? It sounds like everyone's worst nightmare. I hope she got the time to heal from that. I'm not exactly sure, but I think she was around 13. My mom was a rape baby. My cousin killed his mother with elder neglect just to inherit her money and to get rid of her as a nuisance. My grandmother's brother was hung for being a horse thief. My grandpa's brother was murdered by the mafia for moonshine running on their turf. They dumped his body in a creek. My ex-husband's grandmother disappeared in the 70s. Her head was found several years later. It remains unsolved. My ex-husband, a few others, and I believe it was his grandpa, who was a struggling alcoholic and just an awful person. No one in his family speaks of it. I only found out due to a friend of a friend knowing his grandma. He found out when he was 16 after a newspaper published a short article on the case. His parents flipped and made the newspaper attracted. Small towns can hold a lot of secrets. I'm not sure how much of a secret it really is, but not widely talked about. My step-grandfather killed my grandma when she told him she was leaving him for being abusive. His family helped cover the entire thing up and told the police it was suicide. In the Missouri law eyes, it was open and shut case and declared a suicide. My dad is a pedophile who molested his younger nephew and then molested his niece's daughter and also raped my 15-year-old classmate. But like my sisters and mom pretend that it's not anything bad. They don't talk about it. How is he not in jail? He did go to jail for 10 years. He is out and was deported, so he is slowly dying far away from us. My mom was allegedly adopted in the 70s, but we found out about 5 years ago that my grandparents, who are both dead now, actually just straight up kidnapped her, like baby snatched her at a park, and her bio parents had been looking for her since. Although her bio mom died as well before she found out, which is very sad. She died never being reunited with her stolen child. My great uncle was a hitman, and during his time in jail he sent his immediate family a bunch of letters. My grandma still has them, but as far as I know she's the only person alive who's read them. Someday we'll find out what he wrote, but my grandma says she wants to burn them. I don't know if she ever will. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening. Tell your friends about